In the 1990s, nerd culture was shifting. It was big, but not as mainstream as it is today. Buffy aired in that time, including reruns later in the early 2000s, along with other popular franchises helped bridge the gap between nerd and mainstream. I don't know when I first saw the show, but I know I was a fan in no time. Supernatural horror with action and dealing with the relationships of the main cast reached me. It may have seemed like a silly idea on paper, but it works so well. But I'm here to talk about the show and its quality. You see, Hollywood more times than not takes the wrong lessons away from successful projects. This includes Joss Whedon, who was the main writer for Buffy, and the more recent, the first Avengers movie. The reason I say this is because all the future MCU movies become too quippy. Like, everyone became Tony Stark or Spider-Man. The writing and directing flanderized everyone's character.
I won't touch Barton, not until I make him kill you. Slowly, intimately, in every way he knows you fear. And when he screams, I'll split his skull.
You're a monster.
You brought the monster.
That's your play.
What?
Loki means to unleash the Hulk.
Thank you for your cooperation.
I own this world.
I'm desperate to impress me.
I don't. These world leaders.
All from that little console.
Yeah.
Don't take it personal, but thank you for your cooperation. You weren't quite strong enough, so I'll have to finish it myself.
What are you going to do?
Sever the nerve. We can't track you in stealth mode. So help me out. I need you.
If we can't protect the Earth, you can be damn well sure we'll avenge it.
This usually works.
Well, performance issues, it's not uncommon. 1 out of 5.
One other person you pissed off. His name was Phil.
You guys wouldn't happen to know how these things come off, would you? No? Fine.
There are people who blame the Avengers movie as a bedrock for this.
It was of its time, for one. That's going to be part of the problem. And they could have modernized it if they just focus on like the lore, instead of trying to be some sort of message or allegory, which the original was. But what really took over was the story and the lore, and it's kind of Whedonism come full circle. Like, everybody's been trying to copy Whedon, and it goes back to like the original Doctor Who revival from RTD was inspired by Buffy, and so many things were inspired by Buffy. And then, Joss Whedon came in to work for Marvel, and that's where the Marvel humor came from him and Gunn, right? Which is all Whedonisms. And it's just, it's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. And this will be the worst copy.
Photocopied microwave.
Yep.
Like it's all fucked at this point.
And this might end it. Thank God.
Thank God. Yeah. Like, I'm so fucking tired of insincerity being handled by people who have no idea why it's a tool in storytelling. Instead, they just fucking plug it in everywhere constantly and hope for the best. Because, balancing tone is it's not easy, but everybody fucking does it constantly in everything we see in modern stuff to like destroy any sense of tone in scenes, any seriousness, any sense of escapism gets fucking marred by like this modern day interest in being like, isn't this silly? It was beyond, it wasn't just Buffy herself that like fucking drove all of this. Angel was a show. It went for 5 seasons. The formula was in there as well. Obviously it was darker and different, but point being, like, you know, the way to take all of that forward is to what the fuck happened to the mutant enemy team? It's like they were making, I think, the Nevers, and then they got completely like abandoned, dispersed, forgotten. It's probably not even happening again. It's like that's what you actually need to focus on. It reminds me of game studios, where it's like, who are the people that made all of it? I'm not going to say that you can necessarily recreate it without Joss Whedon, but of course he had David Fury, Stephen DeKnight, Jane Espenson, Marty Knox, and all these people that, if you listen to the commentaries, they were as invested in all of this as Joss was. They were trying to make it work. They understood the formula. It's like, isn't that the more important thing, to get them together? It's like, no, Chloe Zhao will take care of it. It's like,
Yeah.
who the fuck are you?
I was a really big fan.
Oh, okay.
In China.
I'm just of the perspective that this can't even be close to Buffy, and the best thing to come out of it is to make people say, yeah, okay, I'll check out the other show, I guess.
So this is like way too little too late, and it feels like Disney's like...
It's a broad criticism I don't think these people think too much about. Seems legit if you don't think about the details. Because of this and what people say about him on set, they don't like Joss Whedon. Therefore, they group Buffy as the same as the Avengers. Sorry, but if you think this, you're wrong. One thing I've heard is that all his characters feel too similar. Xander is not Willow and is not Buffy. Same thing goes for the Avengers. Even if all his characters quip, not saying they do, they would say different things according to their character. This is something people see in the current media.
When I see my child in danger, I act.
So, I'm non-binary.
What does that mean?
It means I don't feel like a man or a woman.
If you are neither a man nor a woman, then what are you?
Non-binary. I just said, and I'm going to use they instead of she from now on.
If this is because I have criticized your dress or your manners...
It isn't!
Under the Cune, the term for one whose gender does not match the one given to them at birth was a cunithlock. Perhaps you are like that.
Why do you have to keep picking at it? Why can't you just be happy for me?
Evatosh, chakra to ebra.
So I'm supposed to struggle with who I am? Even if I don't feel like I fit, even if I feel wrong?
No, you misunderstood.
Then say it better!
On your own. You had rings around them. You're amazing.
So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
And it confirms the worst. Somehow Palpatine returned.
Buffy overall is very well written. There are more hits than misses when it comes to episode quality. Even in bad episodes, there is something to like for me. So now the reason I'm talking about Buffy is because I want people to know how good it is. Also to defend its writing quality. I'm not defending Joss himself, just his writing of the show. I'm separating the art from the artist to be objective as possible. Even though the show is good to great, there are episodes that show off the best of Buffy. There are 3 episodes, in fact, I believe that are so great, it's some of the best TV you'll ever see. Those episodes are Passion, The Body, and Once More with Feeling. They're from different seasons, so it'll be good examples from all over the show. I'm going to talk about each episode without spoilers first, then go into great detail later on. You've been warned, even for the non-spoilers. First, let's talk about the episode called Passion, which is in Season 2, Episode 17. The episode is about relationships with others, and how without emotions, we would be truly dead inside. The theme is told to you, but done through monologue. It is spoken like a poem by the character Angel, and about how people are led by their emotions, even though people themselves can think through their actions.
Passion is the source of our finest moments. The joy of love, the clarity of hatred, and the ecstasy of grief.
The poem and episode does refer to love and how it can be negative. Love is complex, and just because of public perception of it being positive doesn't make it so. Toxic is a thing when it comes to love, and Buffy does it well. Toxic love in this episode is about a stalker who interrupts Buffy and her friends. Passion does infer that even toxic love is love. Reminds me of Thanos in Infinity War. He wasn't a stalker, but he was an evil dude who loved his daughter. The episode does have the positive sides of love in it, but the focus is how love is love. It comes from our passion from being human. As people, we crave for affection and connections. As one man said, no man is an island unto himself. One person is affected by others no matter what the case.
Culmination of love is grief. And yet we love, despite the inevitable. We open our hearts to it. To grieve deeply is to have loved fully.
The second episode is The Body, which is way later in the series. Season 5, Episode 16. Does this mean Buffy had no great episodes between them? Not at all, it's just that this is the best of Buffy, like I said. The Body is about how the characters deal with death. This reflects how anyone in the real world deals with death. Joss is known for his writing of funny dialogue. I think that's a little unfair. The Body sells the serious tone, atmosphere, and how real people deal with death. There is not much levity except when it comes from character. Even though you might not think this is in Joss's wheelhouse, it has the same great writing. Buffy has a lot of silly sections in other episodes, but this is not one of them. Another detail about this episode is that no matter how hard your life is going, it still goes on around you. This is reinforced in certain lingering shots in the episode.
You want to come up?
You're double parked.
Let him give me a ticket.
What?
Everyone inside is fighting their own battles kind of message. These people are just doing their day-by-day jobs. It's not personal. It all comes down to connections we make and how, if we lose them, no matter how happy we are now. The final episode I'll talk about is Once More with Feeling, which is in Season 6, Episode 7. It's a musical episode, but it has a great purpose within its writing. The point of the music is to turn subtext into text. The hidden boils to the surface and is said plainly in song.
All those secrets you've been concealing, say you're happy now, once more with feeling.
If you ever heard any sort of writing advice, this is considered a bad thing. Don't have characters just say what they mean.
Can't just have your characters announce how they feel? That makes me feel angry!
The thing is about writing do's and don'ts is that there are no real rules to writing. It's a good idea to know why those rules are there in the first place, but you can break those rules. It's like an exposition of their inner feelings, which contrasts with their normal conversations. Keeping things hidden, which is normal with most people. Without the music, it would seem like a normal episode. The music and lyrics not just reveal character, but also move plot. The episode is sort of like a classic Disney movie with a mix of live Broadway. Wait, why is it a musical of Buffy in the first place? Well, it does have an explanation in-universe. Trust me. So, this video is a mild spoiler for Buffy and Part 1, or Introduction. It's tough to go over why these episodes are so great without spoilers. They have a lot of context, which explains more than the plot and characters. But just because you have these details doesn't make it better, but when it comes to Buffy, it will. It is executed with fine skill and craft. With that being said, I will repeat what I said in this video.
Oh my god!
Well, yeah, but it will be with newfound context. And when I mean context, I mean context. I will go into some pretty extreme detail. Join me next time for the breakdown of Passion and why I think it holds up. The other videos will be the same thing, making it 4 videos in total. This is to reduce my time for editing because of recent events. So, I'll see you soon for more Buffy content.